Welcome into the DNVR Colorado Eagles pregame show. Genuinely, half the lineup is Colorado Eagles. And it's not even the same Eagles that it was last game. Because the Avs just keep changing it up for, reasons. Whatever. It's fine. I mean, I'll get your guys' thoughts on it. Charles Hudon going to get a shot tonight. Both Galchenyuk and Megna put on waivers, not necessarily to get sent back down, but for flexibility.
Yeah.
Is this a YOLO or is this a, hey, some guys are starting to get close?
I think it is that guys are starting to get close. We've seen Val Nichushkin now on the ice for about a week consistently. This morning, it looked like he was pushing it pretty hard. I know when they're not on the ice with anybody else, it doesn't really matter jersey color, but the Avs are typically pretty steadfast in if this guy is injured, not taking contact. Even if he's on the ice by himself, he's in the bright red jersey and socks and everything. Val hasn't been in that. Like I said, he looked like he's pushing himself pretty hard. My guess is you are close to getting him back, probably when you get back home. And then it sounded relatively positive on MacKinnon and Foudy. I mean, as positive as you can be for them missing games. But so I think this is them saying, we think we're going to get some guys back. Let's get these guys through waivers, get some flexibility. I also had a follower bring up, you do have the holiday roster freeze coming up here soon where you can't put guys on waivers. So if you do this now, you get 30 days of flexibility with both of these dudes. I may be being way too optimistic thinking that they're going to get people back. But a lot of signs are pointing towards there is some help on the way.
So you can put a guy on waivers and then just play him.
Yep.
For 30 days.
30 days or 10 games. Yep.
That's
Assuming they don't
crazy.
get claimed. Yep.
Yeah. Well,
So
understanding.
So yeah,
that
assuming
could
they
happen.
both clear.
Right.
Which
Those guys are both good. You can call them up and send them down as much as you want for 30 days because every team had their chance to claim them and they didn't. So that's honestly what I think is at play here. Meghan and I were both really surprised. We were here this morning after our meeting. I was really surprised at the Galchenyuk thing. I had some people in my mentions like, he's looked horrible. I did not think he's looked horrible. Of all the things that you could say have looked horrible in the last couple of games, I wouldn't put Galchenyuk on that list. I thought he was a weird choice for the waiver wire instead of like an Anton Bleed. But what do I know? I just work here.
I definitely had a similar reaction to people who were quick to say that this is the failure of the Galchenyuk experiment. It's been 3 games, and they haven't been games you can draw meaningful conclusions from. He hasn't exactly been in a position to succeed because no one on this team has.
Yeah.
Like, this is an exclusive to Galchenyuk, and I'm not someone who likes to deal in excuses, but I like to deal in reasons, and this is just a reason and context for why I don't think 3 games is enough to draw a meaningful conclusion on what Galchenyuk has meant. And honestly, it's a little insulting to the front office to say, all right, 3 games in, we've seen enough. This has been a failure. They made the wrong decision. They didn't do due diligence when they signed Galchenyuk because they could have offered him an AHL contract. They could have signed him to the NHL contract and reassigned him to the Eagles, had him clear waivers then from the jump. Like, they had options, and they intentionally chose this route. I think it would be unfair to the front office, who has demonstrated competency every bit of the way so far, to suggest that this is a failure of Galchenyuk.
Well, and part of this is just the room that the Avs are in, right? They had that ace in the back of their pocket where it's like, oh, we can just send Foudy down if there's that problem. All of a sudden,
Foudy.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
So the Avs are just kind of dealing with it day by day right now and what they have in their lineup and how they have to manage it. Very quickly, I think I know the answer to this, but does anyone expect Chucky to get claimed?
I don't.
No. And I think that's actually part of strategy, in my opinion, is that it's probably better to have him clear waivers now than to have him get more reps in NHL games moving forward and tempt other teams with more body of work to go off of, because it's a flip of the coin. He could show horribly in the next few NHL games that he does play in and doesn't tempt a single team. But on the off chance that he really shows out, and then he has to clear waivers at a later date, that becomes a lot more tempting and harder to get him through the waiver wire.
Agree.
Yeah, and look, I mean, to build on Megan's point, again, we were both just kind of chatting after the meeting today. Megan, like, cut me off mid-sentence. She's like, whoa, these 2 guys just hit the waiver wire, like, blah, blah, blah. And so, we just started talking about it, and to build off of her point a little bit there of, the front office and stuff, this isn't like they signed Alex Galchenyuk off the streets, got 3 games, look at him, and were like, yeah, this isn't working.
Right.
They had him in training camp. When he got hurt, they said, hey, when you heal up, get back in touch with us. We'd like to meet with you again. They had him on a PTO for, at least 2 weeks, if not pushing a third.
Right.
You had ample opportunity to say this probably isn't going to work out. I think that this is probably, I don't necessarily want to say part of the plan with him, but I'm sure this was part of the conversations. Hey, early on, we may have you back down with the Eagles a little bit. We think you can be a meaningful part of this organization, but we need to get you up to speed. We need to get your defense in order. We need to get you integrated into our systems. It just so happened that with all these injuries, they were able to plug him in right away. And again, I also wouldn't be fully surprised if Alex Galchenyuk clears waivers and then sticks around and never actually goes back down to the Eagles. They could very easily send him down tomorrow if he clears, but I wouldn't be surprised either way. I'm nowhere near ready to say this has been
The end of it.
a failed experiment with 3 games of Alex Galchenyuk on an extremely depleted roster.
Especially where he was drafted. Being a first-round draft pick, you can't just give the guy 3 games. Obviously there's a plan here to kind of recruit what he could be.
Right,
And
for sure.
And you just look at the
Takes
context, too. If you're looking at
Yeah.
quality of play over the last couple of games, I'm sending down Bleed first. I'm sending down Dryden Hunt first. Now, I understand why they won't do that to Hunt, because he probably gets claimed on waivers, almost certainly back to New York, if not anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it makes sense from a logistical standpoint, but I think pretty easy argument. Galchenyuk might be the Avs' 9th best forward right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just
yeah.
kind of the situation the Avs are in, which brings us to tonight's game against Philly, where the answer to the question who's healthy is nobody on either team. There is so few healthy players in this
Do you want to
hockey
know what's
game.
crazy, though? Skipping way ahead to the end segment, the Avs are favorites in this game.
They sure are.
That should tell you something about the injuries Philly's dealing with and just Philly in general, that this version of the Avalanche team is they're plus 145 favorites tonight.
That's crazy, too, after the performance that they had
Minus
against New
145,
Jersey.
excuse me.
I think.
Who, Philly?
Philly.
Or
Philly,
the Avs?
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, and this isn't any slight at the players that are in the lineup for the Avs right now. It truly is a testament to just how good this team is, this coaching staff, the way that they play, that they are this respected around the league and in the in the odds making community, that this version of the Avs are yeah, I still like them tonight. I still like whatever this is better than the Philadelphia Flyers.
It's tough, right? When you're oh yeah, the Avs are really injured. Oh, they still have MacKinnon. Oh, they still have Makar. Okay, well,
Yeah.
not going to bet against that.
Right.
Well, you got that top-line talent.
Right.
High-end top-line talent.
Yeah. So, I mean, who is it tonight? Because we all thought it'd be Foodie on the top line.
Yeah, now
I think it's Cal
Yeah,
a little
Galchenyuk MacKinnon. I think they moved Rantanen to the second line.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. So what do you go? Galchenyuk, MacKinnon, Kaut?
Yes.
And then
Rantanen.
Rantanen, I think, is on that. Let's see. And then
because I don't know if he'll want to split up.
Yeah, make it larger. There
Yeah,
we go.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, those lines aren't.
Is this your
Correct.
best guess?
Yeah, those are just
or-
random names.
no, that isn't what I saw on the NHL projected lineup this morning. It's close to that though. Hold on.
Those aren't even lines. Those are just the names of the Avs forwards. I don't know.
Use your. All right. Oh, Charles Hudon, of course.
Yes,
Okay.
Hudon is
So
in.
I think he's on left wing with Newhook and Rantanen.
Yeah.
I
So,
just-
so then it's got to be.
It is. They have Galchenyuk projected on the top
Yeah,
line. MacKinnon, Kaut.
with MacKinnon and oh my god.
Wow.
It's this is where the Avs lineup is at, folks.
This is very blendy though because it does
Of course, I
give us this is Mikko Rantanen and Newhook together is actually closer to a second line now than kind of what we've seen Newhook being utilized as. It breaks that up in a way that I'm just curious about. I don't know how it'll go, but it can't really go much worse than it has been.
and look, we all know, Hudon probably gets 8 minutes tonight in reality.
Foodie broke the 10-minute mark, so I think we can count on Udon getting 10 minutes.
10 minutes, really not really top 6 minutes still though. They're gonna lean on their guys as they always do.
The scary part for me is if Galchenyuk goes out and balls out tonight next to MacKinnon, 2 goals or something like that.
Still time for someone to claim him.
Yeah. Just fuck.
The one that got away for the Avalanche, Lucas Sedlak, now has 8 points, 3 goals for the Flyers this year, which isn't great production, but it's sure a whole lot better than Dryden Hunt and the rest of the Avs bottom 6.
It's a warm body, more than anything else. It's just someone who's got who's hit some NHL success
milestones. Yeah. This is what we're talking about when we're talking about injuries. Yes, the Flyers have gotten some decent work out of Lucas Sedlak, but they're also playing a bunch of waiver claim level players because that's where the injuries are at for these two teams. Saw a stat on Twitter today. The Avs are about to be the first team to have 10 plus injured players for 3 straight seasons.
Woo.
So that's fun.
Congratulations.
Look, still setting records out here, all right? Keep up. It's an interesting part of the season because the hope is the Avs can start to get healthy over the next, I'll be generous and say a month, when really it's probably a week or 2. But if they can't, when does the worry start?
It hasn't started yet?
For me, honestly, no.
Are you talking about in terms of where they are in the standings?
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's really where is the health of this team come New Year's Eve?
Okay.
Because they've done a good enough job of keeping themselves. You wake up today, you're in the last wild card spot. You also have 2 games in hand on pretty much everyone that you're looking up to 4 games in hand, depending on who you're talking about here. So they've done a good enough job of keeping themselves afloat. You got a nice home-heavy schedule here coming up. You're going to be a little bit more in control of your matchups. You're going to be hopefully getting a few fresh bodies back that can start integrating into your lineup. Look, if the injuries keep piling up or guys aren't getting back, and we get to that horrible bullshit week between Christmas and New Year's where no one knows if you should be doing anything or not, and they're still looking at this kind of lineup where you're really resting everything on Nate, Mikko, Cale, and a goaltender. To me, I start to worry about how long is it sustainable to keep your head above water here. But if we get to that point and you've gotten 2 of these guys back, 2 forwards and a defenseman back, and you're still kind of right in this range, I feel totally fine saying these guys will come back. They'll be able to hit a nice little, stretch here at the end of the season. I think a lot of people are pointing to the Vegas year last year and this is what can happen. To me, watching that Vegas stuff last year was a team that had never had to deal with real adversity before and not really know what to do. They didn't really have that pushback. They didn't really have that fight in them. This is an Avs team now that they've officially, as of 6 months ago, they've done it all. They've seen it all. They've been through it all. Even now, we talked about it, I think, on a post-game show a couple nights ago. Jared Bednar now this morning today was the first time I've heard him sound outwardly irritated about the injuries, where he was like, this is getting ridiculous. It's really difficult to work around this. But otherwise, the team hasn't pointed to it once as a reason for a loss. The coaching staff hasn't pointed to it once as a reason for any level of struggles. Every single bit of it is, we have to worry about who we do have here and what we can put on the ice. And so I don't think that these are going to derail the entire season, but holy shit, at a certain point, you need the bodies back because this roster just isn't your roster. This isn't the team that they've spent years putting together.
If the injuries keep up, though, and then you start to dip on that sub 500 hockey for a month, that's when you're going to start getting real concerned because you're going to see that team just start to slide off of a playoff run at all because they're going to go down, and then it's going to be can they catch up in those games with the remaining games left once they get healthy or healthier?
Yeah. You can't let yourself look. I'm honestly expecting them just because of how tight everything is, I'm expecting them to slip in and out of a playoff spot periodically over the next couple weeks. Again, that's the nature of games played and the injuries and things like that. Teams playing each other that are ahead of them. But as long as you are, within arm's reach of those wild card spots or the top of the division, I think you're fine. But I agree with you, Blaze, that if you let yourself slip too far out of that and now you're having to play catch up, we talk about every year. It's not just a matter of you got to win your games. You have to now win your games and hope for someone else to lose your games. And once you are asking for favors from other teams, that's when you're in a bad spot.
Okay. The good news for December, at the very least, is after tonight, the Avs only have, I believe, 3 more road games for the rest of December. The vast majority of their games are coming at home. How much does last change at home help this team sneak around some of these injuries?
I'll go for it's huge. It's huge. And I'm sorry, Megan, but you can shelter some of those Eagles guys a little bit more who
I wish someone had sheltered Foodie.
Get the bubble wrap.
That, or maybe getting exposed a little bit here. Even a guy like Galchenyuk, who, again, I'm going to remain positive on him. Just the steps that he's taken, I think, since day one of camp with his defensive game and all that stuff. Even a guy like that, Blaze made the point earlier, he has a development plan now. You're essentially treating Galchenyuk like a new prospect. Yeah. And you'll just be able to kind of shelter those guys a little bit more. Megan, I'm sorry. You had a big old grin on your face.
No, I was just thinking about, you were very kind to think of the Eagles before you began that statement. And it's true from a strategy perspective, too, just getting better matchups. And honestly, too, in seeing if, it might better utilize the third and fourth line's ability to stand out against when they have the advantage over those matchups. Basically, it won't be someone like Foodie going toe-to-toe with Marchand. That is a tough matchup for a Foodie.
Right. Well, and even Martin Kaut, right? How much did we talk about at the beginning of the year that this is a guy that, he has a shot to get onto this roster and really kind of settle into a role. They don't need to overextend him, da-da-da-da-da. Well, now you're into a spot where we're projecting him on the top line tonight. It's not a shot that Martin Kaut isn't hanging just fine in the NHL this season, but
he's not a top line player though.
Truth serum, that dude. There's no way he's going to be yep, I should be on the top line of this Avalanche team. No shot. And so it gives Jared Bednar a small little feather in his cap of, I have at least a little bit of control over what I'm doing here.
Okay. So, look, again, I'm going to keep saying this until it's not true. Could be not true at the end of tonight. Since the start of November, the Avs have not lost 2 games in a row. If they can keep doing that, they'll be okay.
Well, look, what did we say? 500 on the road.
Yep.
A win tonight puts you at 500 on this road trip. You come home, and I think given everything, you're feeling fucking fantastic coming home at 2-2 on this road trip.
Yep.
I look back at the room we were in this point in the season last year, and injuries were not to this degree. But even going into the Nashville game in December, where COVID had hit the team hard and totally different circumstances, it feels like this team really ramped things up after that January 1st marker. That's sort of what I'm eyeing too, with the hope that December is all about getting healthy. I think that they can ramp it up though in the final months, if we can see some guys return to health in December.
That is the hope. Blaze, did you submit bets or are we YOLOing tonight?
Oh, I submitted bets.
Did you even know who was playing tonight?
I do. All right, let's go here. I didn't take the Avs, but I did take total goals being over 5.5 goals. And the reason why is the Flyers don't really help you here because they only score about 2 goals a game average. But they do allow 4 goals a game. Yeah. So with the Avs high-end players, I'm thinking that they can get to 4 goals. Fingers crossed.
The weird thing happens usually when both teams have worse rosters. The scoring usually goes up, not down. because everybody loves to play offense, right? All the quadruple A guys, baller offensive players, got no defense.
Well, and it's hard because like they don't know the system, so there's usually gaps in the defense that people exploit. So
I really like this next one.
oh yeah, I got Timothy with over a half point on the power play for
It's good money.
plus 215.
I was going to say plus 215 for a point. He's going to be on the top unit.
That's where my thinking was. Like he's gonna get elevated to that top unit. He just has to touch the puck at some point.
Yeah.
You win that bet. And then Mikko with some shots on goal. Since he's not going to be paired with MacKinnon, I think he's going to be the person being asked to shoot the puck.
Yeah.
So 3.5 shots is a lot of shots on net, but I think he can get there.
I think all three of those bets are based in nice, sound logic.
Certainly the last.
Rarity for you,
none
Blaze.
of them will hit. Very true.
All right, so we are about 10 minutes from puck drop, so we're going to wrap this one up. We appreciate you hanging out with us. We do have a watch along today, so join us for that if that's what you're into. And of course, be sure to join us, same YouTube channel for the post game. Like and subscribe, do all that good stuff to help us out, and we will talk to you soon.